time with us, be it as visitors, friends, or members, for we need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another in the hour of success when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat when with encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. Welcome.
So hello everyone, I'm Rob Morrison. I'm your current UUFM board chair, and I just wanted to communicate with everyone some decisions that have been made recently by the Sunday Services Committee. First, I'll just start on some more minor points. This next Sunday, June 21st service will be a joint service with the UU congregation in Topeka. So just remember that you'll need to use a different link for that than you normally use. But not to worry, you can find that link under the virtual tab on the UUFM website. In addition, the service following that on June 28th, instead of our normal service, we will listen to the service at the UUA General Assembly. Again, that link can be found on the UUFM webpage with the other links. And I wanted to remind those that are in the choir to get their recorded videos to Renee Brown this coming Friday, June 19th. And now in more major news, I wanted to give an update on plans for Sunday services in the summer and fall. So we'll be doing something a little bit different this summer. Summer services will be hosted still on the Zoom platform, but services will be drawn from other UU congregations in the Mid-America region as part of a cooperative attempt to kind of reduce workload on volunteers. So this will be a chance to learn how other congregations conduct Sunday services online. Each week we'll still have a UUFM convener, joys and concerns, and the opportunity for coffee and conversation among our community members. The shared service approach will occur throughout July and August, and our own congregation will contribute a custom-made service to this cooperative push on August 23rd. Now, then as we move into fall 2020, we've decided to remain virtual among continuing concerns with the resurgence of COVID and in accordance with the current recommendations from the UUA. So this will continue at least through the end of fall. However, we will continue to meet and find fellowship through online chalice circles and other small group meetings. The UUA recommends that congregations remain remote in their operations through the entire 2020-2021 year. Our congregation, UUFM, will reevaluate based upon local, state, and federal conditions and guidelines in January of 2021 about a timeline for if and when we'll be coming back in person. We might need to extend this the virtual approach through the spring of 2021. It's our hope that the congregation understands we need to keep all our members safe. Thank you all for your time today.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy.
As we light the chalice, let there be light, the light of joy, the light of happiness, and the light of contentment. May it illuminate our path and fill our lives with peace. And let there be dark, for it is from our dark places that we are brought forward, tried and tested, and impelled toward growth. It is in these places that we realize compassion and learn to love. And there was day and there was night, and there was joy and there was sorrow, and it was good. We are now going into our breakout rooms.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Jonalu Johnstone, the minister here at Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Manhattan. And each week we have an opportunity to check in with one another, say hello. We know that the biggest part of being a congregation is those relationships that we have one with another, and that's a really significant part. So let's just take a few minutes. Whoever is in with the breakout room with you, they're part of your congregation. Say hello, check in, see how everyone is.
I will read a quote from the Dalai Lama on compassion. Let me explain what we mean by compassion. Usually, our concept of compassion or love refers to the feeling of closeness we have with our friends and loved ones. Sometimes, compassion also carries a sense of pity. This is wrong. Any love or compassion which entails looking down on the other is not genuine compassion. To be genuine, compassion must be based on respect for the other and on the realization that others have the right to be happy and overcome suffering just as much as you. On this basis, since you can see that others are suffering, you develop a genuine sense of concern for them. As for the closeness we feel toward our friends, this is usually more like attachment than compassion. Genuine compassion should be unbiased. If we only feel close to our friends and not to our enemies or to the countless people who are unknown to us personally and toward whom we are indifferent, then our compassion is only partial or biased. We are now turning to the story for all ages.
Good morning. Today's story for all ages is I Am Love, a book of compassion. When I see someone going through a storm of hurt and unfairness, of anger and sadness, when the sun disappears and the skies grow dark, and I see there is fear, I ask myself, what can I do to help let the light back in? I put my hands on my heart and listen, and that is where I find the answer. I have compassion. I act with tenderness. I am love. I can listen and not say a word. I can be there. Love is being present. I can hug and hold and say everything will be all right. Love is comfort. I can speak softly and choose my words and actions carefully. Love is gentle. I can give thanks for all I have and am able to share. Love is gratitude. I can keep my mind and body safe and healthy. Love is taking care of me. I can express what's important to me. Love is creative. I can know that no one is perfect. Love is understanding. I can do my best to make things better when something is wrong. Love is effort. I can celebrate those I've loved before. Love is remembering. I can find goodness in a kind word, a helping hand, or a shared smile. Love is tiny gestures. I can breathe in the air that the whole world shares and know all creatures are made from the very same stardust. Love is connection. When the clouds roll in, for others and for me, I know now there is something I can do. I can let my heart lead the way. I am love. You are love. We are love. And with love, we will weather the storm and light up the sky together. The end.
Good morning, everyone. It's time for the offertory. We thank you in advance for your contributions to UUFM, which can be made either by mail or online, either during the offertory or at any other time. The Helping Hands recipient of the month is Shepherd's Crossing. And if you wish your contribution to go to that organization, please either check the Helping Hands box online or indicate your intent on the memo line of your check. As I think Jeff mentioned, joys and concerns should be posted in the chat box during the offertory. And also remember that these will no longer be included in the recorded version of the service. Today's offertory music, to be performed by our own wonderful Renee Brown, is especially near and dear to my heart. Some years ago, I discovered and fell in love with the Earl Hines piano recordings of the music of Duke Ellington. I wanted to play Ellington's compositions exactly the way Earl Hines did, but these were improvisations, recorded but never written down as musical scores. I therefore took it upon myself to transcribe the Earl Hines performances from audio, producing written scores that allowed me to work on learning to play them myself. I recently mentioned this to Renee, and she offered to try one out as UU offertory music. So here is Renee Brown's rendition of a part of a Dick Beeman transcription from audio of an Earl Hines improvisation on a theme from a Duke Ellington composition entitled Black Butterfly.
As we move into our joys and concerns, let me offer these words from Reverend Leif Seligman. We pause in the stillness to rest for a moment, to quiet ourselves so we can feel what stirs within us. Each breath draws us closer to the pulse of life. And with each exhalation, we make room for something new. May we find in this gathering the comfort of those who care. May we encounter patience along our growing edges and compassion in our most tender spots. Here, may we find inspiration and encouragement we need to face our challenges and nurture ourselves. And in the presence of suffering across the globe, may we redouble our efforts to practice kindness where we are, with the hope that the light of our actions travels like the light of faraway stars. May our gestures of compassion and generosity seed possibility. May we travel humbly with one another, choosing reconciliation over resentment as we try to live right-sized. When life presses in and shifts us off balance, when pain assails us, when frustration mounts, may the rhythm of our breath steady us and bring us to a place of gratitude. And let me share the specific joys and sorrows here. So many feelings to register, or not, in ourselves and in one another. Let us choose compassion. Our first choice is the choice to let the noise and distress of others enter. And that is a choice, because there are all kinds of ways for us to shut it out: ignoring, denial, rationalization, repression. If we don't want to know what others are feeling, there are plenty of ways to keep it at bay and not let it affect us. We have a choice. Let us choose compassion. We have to acknowledge that it's easier to let in another's pain if it is someone close to us, our child or spouse or parent or friend. It's easier to let in another's pain if we know and already love the person most affected. The further away someone is physically or emotionally, the harder it may be to let in their pain and frustration and anger. The feelings may feel directed at us instead of with us, or they may feel irrelevant to us. Still, it's a choice. If your focus, intentionally or unintentionally, is on how people who are different from you, who are separate from you, then compassion may be inaccessible. A remarkable exercise I participated in once was to select a picture from a magazine of someone very different from you and to meditate with it. You can do some creative imagining. How is this person different from me? How are they like me? What are they like? And you can send loving kindness to them and see how it stretches you. Perceived difference can stopper compassion unless we open our hearts. Karen Hutt, an African-American UU prison chaplain, asked in a recent sermon, how much time does it take to see us, she's talking about African-Americans, as human? How much time does it take for our pleas to be heard? As I listened to those words in her widely distributed sermon, it's been posted on our congregation's Facebook page, a flood of similar sentiments came to me. If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you poison us, do we not die? How many years Must some people exist before they're allowed to be free? I've been buked and I've been scorned. How much time does it take to see us as human? How much time does it take for our pleas to be heard? Yet it's not really about time, is it? It's about willingness. It's about making a choice. If in the face of someone else's pain you turn away, you are resisting compassion. If in the face of someone else's pain you search for the neatest and quickest solution, you are resisting compassion. If in the face of someone else's pain you logically, rationally undermine their experience, you are resisting compassion. If in the face of someone else's pain your mind wanders to compose your comforting response, you are resisting compassion. If in the face of someone else's pain you are steeped in your own discomfort, you are resisting compassion. Because all of those things are avoiding the feelings, avoiding letting in the pain. And I fully acknowledge letting in pain is hard. There are reasons we protect ourselves from it. And sometimes we're not in a place to be compassionate. We don't have those emotional resources. Still, no, it is a choice. As I said last week, and as the Dalai Lama said, compassion isn't only pity or empathy. Compassion is feeling with to the point of wanting to relieve distress. That's uncomfortable. We may get distressed. Tears may come to our eyes. Our own heart may feel as if it's breaking. And here's another hard step of compassion. When we start to feel those things with someone else, we have to remember this is not about me. It's about them. My distress and discomfort is nothing compared to the person before me. Now that deserves some explication. Who needs to be centered in the conversation? Say your friend's spouse has died. That is a tragic and difficult circumstance. You want to be compassionate. Now, if you have also had a spouse die, you know something of what they're going through, though you don't know their exact journey. You know they need your compassion. If you go to your friend and lay out your story and how you came through it, you're centering your voice and not supporting their feelings. Instead, as the book said this morning, I can listen and not say a word. You know some of the feelings they're having. You know that though those feelings may feel like you're dying, you do not die. You can listen. And you can say, I'm so sorry. I know how hard it is to have a spouse die since I lived through that. I'm here for you. You may offer help that you guess they could use because you've been there, learning from your own experience, while centering their pain, even though their pain may touch yours off. That's compassion. Now, you may have to go home from that conversation and give yourself all kinds of compassion and caring because you're still lonely, but you don't have to do that with them. They are the one most hurting, most harmed. You center their feelings and experience. And of course, in mutual relationships, we share back and forth, centering one and then another, seeking balance in the relationship. And one of the common discussions in these times has been about centering in the conversation about race. That's because it's been unbalanced for so long. This is really about unspoken and often unconscious expectations. People who are outside the dominant culture often say that their ideas are not heard until someone else, generally a white man, says them. What about the ideas then that are grounded in their experience that someone else would never say. They get lost. Centering the voices of people of color is a compassionate response to a long history of ears that could not hear and eyes that could not see, and a logical extension of the idea of centering those who need compassion. This is a place where we really have to confront our own preconceptions. The Reverend Dr. Bill Sinkford, the first African-American president of the UUA, said, "Images of African-American male ministers are pretty well established in the culture for white folks. They have a clear idea about who we are supposed to be." We all carry our preconceptions, expectations, biases. That's human. We simply do. In order to center the voices of people of color, to hear them compassionately, we have to allow those biases, expectations, and preconceptions to be challenged and sometimes let go of. And as Reverend Sinkford also said, it has been more important to some of us to be right than to be kind. Being kind, being compassionate, means letting people have their experience and their feelings and not be corrected about it, not be told that they misinterpreted or misunderstood what happened, that it couldn't have been the way they saw it. We say those things, we think those things, we believe those things because we do not want to let others' pain in, because we are choosing not to be compassionate, because it is more important to be right than to be kind. But it's not. Having compassion for others is not about me. But what's wrong with trying to figure out the quickest and most elegant solution to someone else's pain? Because often that's simply avoiding or maybe even feeding into the problem. There are a number of reasons it could make things worse. The quickest solution may be what some people call idiot compassion. It comes up because you can't stand being with someone else's suffering. So when your 2-year-old throws a tantrum for a cookie in the grocery store, you give them the cookie. Tantrum over, problem solved. Not really. Or the person who already has more cats than they can care for adopts one more because they want to take care of it. Or a parent protects a child from the consequences of their action. Or we give someone money to make them stop talking about their needs. You get the idea. Buddhist teacher and author Pema Chodron says, idiot compassion refers to something we all do a lot of and call it compassion. In some ways, it's what's called enabling. It's the general tendency to give people what they want because you can't bear to see them suffering. There's another reason why we don't try to find quick solutions to someone's pain, besides that it may be the wrong solution. Sometimes it's not our problem to solve. There's great wisdom in the listening advice. No fixing, no advice. Since it's not our problem, we may not actually be the best one to solve it. Yes, there are times for fixing and advice when it has been requested, in emergencies. Most of the time, though, we need to give people the respect of holding their problems as their own. By fixing, we present ourselves as saviors or rescuers. Also as someone to blame when it goes wrong. And those are stances that are about us, not about the person who's in distress. So here's a related reason to not resort to solutions too quickly. Sometimes it's not a problem to be solved, but a human condition to be endured. While we may be able to find cures for some diseases, there will always be human ailments. We may be unable to stop tornadoes and hurricanes. Of course, we can help restore people and property when they're affected. Somehow we have to distinguish between those problems to be solved and conditions to be endured. As the Serenity Prayer says, grant me the wisdom to know the difference. Context, of course, matters. What was once unchangeable may become open to change. I look at how quickly circumstances have changed in the discussions on race and policing. Suddenly, eliminating chokeholds as a means of control is possible. Black Lives Matter, once a radical statement, has been embraced by conservatives as well as liberals. Confederate statues, long signs of oppression and slavery to Black people, are tumbling down, and many of these sudden shifts are grounded in compassion. How much time does it take to see us as human? How much time does it take for our pleas to be heard? It takes not time, but a choice to hear, a choice to see. And further, what may be unchangeable by myself may be something a community can readily handle. Collective action has important intersections with compassion. Solutions are often beyond a single person or even a single institution. In a previous ministry, I was in a downtown church that received many, many requests for help, for food, for gasoline, for bus tickets, for utility payments. We had to make some very difficult choices that involved compassion, but not just compassion. Instituting policies about what we would and would not do with ministers' discretionary funds and under what circumstances. We didn't give anything to non-members who phoned with requests. If someone actually showed up on the doorstep, we at least listened and sometimes offered gift cards or checks to a utility company or bus tickets. Sometimes whether material help was given or not, it was a compassionate response. And frankly, sometimes it wasn't. And when I came here to Manhattan, I was so excited to learn of the existence of Shepherd's Crossing, this month's Helping Hands recipient. You can still go to the website and donate. Because here there is a single agency that can extend the compassionate response because it's organized to do that. Volunteers like our own Betty Banner, who's back to work there with increased social distancing measures. These volunteers listen to people's stories, their circumstances, and respond with compassion and often with funds to help and with help with budgeting and other skills. We, united as a congregation, extend our own compassion by supporting that cause. This kind of compassionate response happens only because various churches and agencies and people in this community decided that a combined approach, financed together, made for a compassionate response to an array of concerns of individual families. But it was something that no one person could do alone. And that kind of solution did not happen in a flash or single moment of compassion. It certainly didn't come from the impulse to idiot compassion. It took planning, creativity, and commitment in addition to compassion. Compassion does not do everything. True compassion, though, allows us to be open to real solutions. Let us choose compassion. Meditation teacher Susan Piver suggests this process for choosing compassion. First, fully encounter the event or person. Then feel what you feel. And I borrow from the book we heard this morning. Put your hands on your heart and listen. See what is there with a curious mind. Consider the feeling, where it resides in your body. And then breathe into it. And relax. And I'll use Piven's words for what you do next. Let your heart soften to what you feel and allow yourself to fill with it. I've heard Muslim Sufi minister Jamal Rahman call this sacred holding. He recommends honoring all feelings, all energies that beg our attention. Then re-encounter the event or person, allowing your heart to be softened to everyone in the situation. Yes, everyone. And see what your heart tells you about what needs to be done. So you are allowing the emotions in and still slowing yourself from reacting too quickly. Instead, you let compassion arise. Sometimes I try this on social media. Really, it's helpful. When I want to type off a response willy-nilly because someone has touched one of my buttons, instead I try to open my heart to compassion. I may decide to let it be, or at least not press send, or to write a more compassionate and perhaps even helpful response. Or, and this has actually happened, I might decide to reach out to someone personally, directly, heart to heart, instead of on social media, because personally, heart to heart is the best expression of compassion. As the Dalai Lama's words that we heard earlier said, genuine compassion should be unbiased. If we only feel close to our friends and not to our enemies, or to the countless people who are unknown to us personally and toward whom we are indifferent, then our compassion is only partial or biased. This is our greatest challenge, extending compassion beyond ourselves, beyond our families, beyond those who look like us or share our culture or values, to people unknown to us, to people we do not even like. Let us choose compassion, genuine compassion, not idiot compassion, broad compassion, not narrow, self-interested compassion. This is the spiritual work of a lifetime and reminds us of our ultimate unity. As poet Gwendolyn Brooks wrote in a poem about the great singer Paul Robeson, we are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. So may it be for ourselves and for all the world. Amen.
Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through the mountains, the meadows, the sand. Walk through the valleys, the rivers, the plains. Walk through the sun and walk through the rain. Here is a land full of power and glory. Beauty words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Her glory shall rest on us all. From Colorado's canyons and the Carolinas to Virginia and Alaska, from the old to the new, Texas and Ohio and the California shore. Now tell me who could ask for more? For here is a land full of power and glory. Beauty words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Her glory shall rest on us all. But she's only as rich as the poorest of her poor, only as free as the padlocked prison door, only as strong as our love for the land, only as tall as we stand. So here is our land full of power and glory. Beauty words cannot recall, but her power must rest on the strength of her freedom. Her glory must rest on us all. Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through the mountains, the meadows, the sand. Walk through the valleys, the rivers, the plains. Walk through the sun and walk through the rains. Here is a land full of power and glory. Beauty words cannot recall, but her power must rest on the strength of our freedom. Her glory must rest on us all. On us all.
Thank you, Larry. And now I leave you with the words of Darcy Roque. There is too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There's too much injustice in the world to not right the balance every day. There is too much pain in this world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. Amen.